So, it's my honor to be able to read loud to you the declaration of the IENE 2022 International Conference. But beforehand, I would like to thank you all, those who have helped us to develop the declaration, the ones who comment, improve that, including our partner projects as Safe Green, Bison, Transport for Nature, and Green Web. The text of the declaration have been circulated with you, so with your agreement, I will read the introduction part and the final part, which are, I think, the key parts of the declaration. So I will start with the motto, why we choose connecting people, connecting landscape as the motto of the conference, because we all know connectivity is quintessential for both human society and natural systems, although in the past we mostly built transport infrastructure that became a barrier for wildlife movement. Now we have the knowledge how to develop sustainable, resilient, and biodiversity-friendly transport networks. But to put this into practice, we need to connect people and organizations across different sectors to collaborate in mainstreaming biodiversity into transport sector. And as we know, during the last 30 years, IENE has been developing as a powerful network of experts in transport ecology that became a formal organization holding an impressive knowledge base and is a key entity to promote sustainable development of transport infrastructure in Europe. Therefore, as part of the declaration of the IENE 2022 International Conference, we, the participants to the IENE 2022 conference in Cluj, Napoca, Romania, we are calling for urgent actions from policy to practice, and we are inviting the entities at all levels, local, national, European, and international, governments, conventions, organizations, academia, institutions, businesses, transport, planners, constructors and operators, networks, experts, funders, mass media and civil society to foster cooperation in order to 1. Adopt sustainability in transportation development across the spectrum of human activities in the 21st century as essential under the following 4 basic pillars: the well-being of societies, the resilience of healthy economies, environmental quality and safety, and the link with effective biodiversity conservation, keeping the impacts of human activities on the environment at a reversible level. Point number 2, recognize that safeguarding ecological connectivity is a key aim and a major challenge for the transport sector, which needs to be addressed in special planning in collaboration with other sectors like other infrastructure, agriculture, forestry, tourism, hunting, water management, protected areas, etc. Point number 3, include as a key objective for sustainability the avoidance of fragmentation of nature and landscapes in all developing activities, in accordance with relevant strategic policy documents and technical recommendations. Point number 4, adopt and implement the principles of the IENE Global Strategy for Ecologically Sustainable Transport and other linear infrastructure, namely, create a strong policy and legal framework on safeguarding landscape connectivity as a primary concern for any project scale, including regulatory requirements through standardization of tools, methods, etc. Begin with strategic planning with the implementation of avoidance, mitigation, compensation, mitigation hierarchy. Follow an ecosystem approach based on the precautionary principle, respecting the value of natural capital and ecosystem functions and services. Evaluate each case as a unique case. Each project is site and species specific and therefore unique. Mitigation should be based on scientific and based available local knowledge without copy-paste from other projects, and cumulative impacts of other local projects should be taken into account. Enhance multidisciplinary and cross-sectoral cooperation. Implement the responsible polluter pays principle, not only from the pollution perspective, but also taking into consideration the impacts on biodiversity and ecological connectivity, as well as ethical and transparency concerns. Include long-life effective maintenance and sufficient monitoring in all planning and budgeting of transport and other developing projects. Create climate change resilient infrastructure. Plan and manage adaptable infrastructure habitats to fulfill their potential as possible biodiversity refuges and ecological corridors. Establish environmental supervision and monitoring of the effectiveness of transport infrastructure features and wildlife permeability in all phases of programs, plans, and projects. Promote a culture of learning to develop continuous evaluation and exchange of knowledge and experience. Point number 5, develop an urgent common framework of priority actions from policy to practical implementation of evidence-based solutions to mainstream biodiversity into a sustainable transport sector, such as support the appropriate political will to taking decisions based on criteria of 4 pillars of sustainability and biodiversity conservation needs. Think globally and implement policies locally while filling the gaps and overcoming barriers that have been highlighted by relevant transport and ecology projects like Bison, TransGreen, ConnectGreen, SafeGreen, Harmon, among others. Cooperate to enable the coexistence of ecological and transport corridors through the implementation of EU 10G, 10E, 10N, and 10T strategies, while effectively sharing experience and know-how between countries and entities across Europe and globally. Develop cross-sectoral tools and management practices for effectively protecting the coherence of the ecological networks, like Natura 2000 or Emerald, and the integrity of their component sites and other protected areas, like parks or reserves. Proactively produce and use the scientific and practical knowledge to promote innovative and sound evidence-based sustainable solutions and make use of updated databases, modern standards, and innovative methodologies. Include in the necessary assessments, like strategic environmental assessments, environmental impact assessments, appropriate assessments, climate change or water framework directive assessments, independent scientific expertise and environmental supervision while involving the local society and the relevant stakeholders. Implement the appropriate measures to avoid, reduce, and compensate the impacts on biodiversity based on multidisciplinary cooperation between social scientists, environmentalists, and engineers in order to achieve infrastructure sustainability, resilience, and acceptability at landscape level. Cluj, Napoca, Romania, September 2022. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
So we have shared this with you, and we had two modifications from IENE members. The first one was to precise the notion of precautionary principles. So it was a demand from one IENE member, so we had added one footnote to lead to the European Commission definition. And we have added also the notion of sealed soil, caused by the transport sector in one of the first paragraphs that mentioned the 5 main direct drivers of biodiversity loss. So now we will proceed to the vote. We have... In the chat, we have also Joshen that is sharing, that is approving what has been said and sharing publication. So I will make sure to put it on the minutes of the General Assembly. Thank you. And we will proceed now to the vote. Do you agree for the IENE Declaration 2022? Raise your hand. And for the people on the chat, please say yes, no, or I abstain. For people online, you are invited to vote also and approve the IENE Declaration. Okay. Thank you very much for this General Assembly. We are at the end. I call Anders on stage for the closing and the announcement of the next IENE conference.